welcome everybody to another episode of Recruiters with No Limits, always live and never scripted. Here with my sidekick and co-host, John Ruffini. Johnny, what's up, brother?
My boy, Richard, I feel like I haven't seen you in forever.
Dude, it's been a while, man. We've been so busy that we haven't had a couple podcasts for a couple weeks, but Johnny, it's International Month, brother. Are you ready, man, or what?
We are going global.
We are going global, worldwide, like Pitbull would say. All right, you ready to bring the guest on, Johnny? I'm going to let you introduce him today, man. So go for it, John.
This is a gentleman that I had the privilege of meeting at a conference, and I was trying to remember, Ketan, if it was SIA's Healthcare Summit or if it was a Staffing World. I couldn't remember, but we came in touch with one another years ago, and I'm thankful that we've stayed in touch. And he's coming to us live from India. Ketan, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us about RPO Arena and what you've got going on, and then we'll get into it.
Certainly. So for starters, John, we met at the Staffing World Conference in 2017, and then thanks for keeping in touch as well. So appreciate it. In terms of my background, I'm the recruitment curry guy. I love recruitment. I love curry. And then as far as RPO Arena, obviously founder of RPO Arena, providing offshore RPO services to recruiters in the UK and the US. So, and then thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. So you deal a lot, obviously, with global talent, and a lot of people are freaking out now because they've gone into a virtual employee mode here in the country because of the pandemic, and they're all virtual. They're figuring how do I manage folks that are in my market but they're not in an office. You're talking about global talent, so how do you keep track of, how do you stay on top of identifying the talent where it needs to be in the world? And two, how does one effectively manage talent that's located all over the globe? I know that's a loaded two-part question, but that's what was first on my mind.
Well, it's an interesting one. So, I've been doing this, almost 2 decades now, and one thing that I always recommend is, start it backwards in terms of what is that you're looking for in terms of 80% of the job role that you want to cover, and then and then obviously from there on you identify which is the closest location that you want to work with, because one thing from the CEO or the VP's perspective you want to ensure is you got the bandwidth to work with the global talent, or leave alone the global talent, even the remote talent anywhere locally in the States or in the UK. So that's one. And then when I talk about bandwidth, it's about time, because apart from your cash and budget, time is something that you need on hand to work with the global talent, because it is going to take your face time. When you walk into the offices on an average day, you're going to meet people in person, you're going to say hi, hello. When you're working with global talent, you want to make sure that you have a similar engagement over whatever tools that you're using, phone, email, when you're conferencing. So make sure that you got the time out. And then working with global talent starts with again the CEO approach, that we are one team. Out of sight, out of mind, really works negatively in this context when you're actually working with global talent, because you assume that somebody sat there, asked them to do certain things, and they're on with it. But when you don't engage and interact with the talent, you don't know, what are they going through. So it starts with the chief exec, with one message that we are one team, and then we've got one goal to achieve together. So that's one messaging, which is very important. Two is, understanding, and then I always tell this to everybody, who wants to work with global talent, is understand the culture of the respective destination, that you're going to hire global talent into or from.
Sure, because that's going to be different regardless of the region. I mean, with respect to the region.
Yep. Totally. And culture plays a major role in how you make it or break your global talent strategy.
Sure.
So, understanding the specific culture of that location is very crucial.
And I guess that also plays into, if you're doing that, like if I'm hiring people in the UK or I'm hiring people in India, I've got to understand, because that's also going to influence how I manage those people and interact with them. Because how I manage people here in the States might not work in another country because I've got to adapt to the way that they do business. Am I right?
Totally. You got to align yourself. Just like, it's just like you bringing in new team members in house. You adapt to the way they work, and it's the basics are similar. It's just the themes. Here the theme is a little broader. You're looking at somebody who's based in India or Philippines or South Africa, wherever you're working. Hiring, or Mexico. You're hiring global talent. You want to understand that, at least have a flavor of the culture. That's number one. Two is, understand the language. Now, don't take me in literal terms, understand the language, but culture and language, have a major impact on how people think and conduct, day-to-day business. And then,
Sure.
like you mentioned, managing people, working with people in-house, locally, and then working with global talent, it has a major impact. You want to sort of fine-tune your approach, when you're working with somebody offshore or wherever they are globally, compared to, treating, how you work with people onshore. Because there are times when, people, even, globally, they don't have affinity to how Americans, for example, work.
Sure.
Because for me, I haven't worked with somebody for months consistently in an American office. So for me, it would be a surprise with a lot of things how people conduct in an office environment on a day-to-day basis.
I bet.
100%. So,
No kidding.
okay, so my question is, though, let's deep dive into India. So what is the economy like going on there? We know what the United States is like. We want to hear something about, how's India's economy and how's it thriving with staffing and everything and recession and everything else. So give us the 2-minute tour on that.
Well, just a disclaimer to start with. I'm no economist, number one.
So you're not speaking on behalf of the country of India. This is your own personal observations.
Yeah, this is out for the world. You just said that to everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, things are much better, compared to the other countries. We're still doing well from the numbers perspective, in terms of our growth perspective as well. The staffing industry, yes. From the tech perspective, there's an impact that the tech staffing market in India, has had earlier this year because of the US, and it has an impact on what we do. A lot of tech staffing still happens from India, not just for the US, but a lot of development work, globally, happens for some of the largest organizations that we have here who deliver for, various platforms. So yes, we've had an impact, but there are still sectors, are doing good, from construction, housing, so it's relatively much better. I would say it's not as bad as what we read in the papers. And then again, I'm not in the States, so I only read what's on Twitter and what's in the news and about what's going on in the States.
We've experienced similar. Obviously, it's funny because, not funny, but that a lot of the tech sectors, tech companies have been laying off. So, on one end, they've got people exiting, but on the other end, you still got tech recruiters that are still very busy finding tech talent, because as is the case with any big company like a Meta or an Amazon or a Salesforce, whenever they're laying off in one area, they're usually hiring in another. So the business, that's what people don't see. They just see the layoffs and they say, okay, this is bad. And it's unfortunate for those that get laid off, but it's usually, okay, I've got to cut some stuff here because sales are down. So what's my non-revenue generating positions? And let me cut them now and I'll rehire them later. But by the way, these people in the back here in this other department that are still developing the software that drives our business, I need more of those. So it's always a, give and take, so to speak. And, a lot of that gets offshored to countries like India when we talk about software development and even sourcing, because when a staffing company outsources their sourcing, now you've got round the clock sourcing because the time difference. So recruiters here go to sleep and they wake up and they've got leads because folks in India have been sourcing all night. Do you have any experience in those capacities?
Yeah, so so number one, there's still hiring going on in the tech sector. Like for example, AI is a big deal right now, and there are companies hiring with AI, and obviously in the ancillary sectors because it has an impact. Coming back to the sourcing and the staffing side of things, of course, there are less jobs, but then there are more applicants. So one impact that we are seeing, with agencies, from the States is the number of applicants have increased. Now they are obviously hiring sources offshore to sift through the applications and then make a short list from the long list,
Right.
so that their recruiters, they spend more time engaging with the candidates and then talking to the candidates. As far as delivery is concerned, stuffing, offshore stuffing is a huge market, and then there are companies who have thousands of recruiters, and we're talking about U.S. staffing companies who have hundreds and thousands of recruiters, working from offshore. The entire engine, the sourcing delivery engine, operates from offshore, wherever it is, India, Philippines, South Africa. But yeah, it's a model that's been working for decades, and after the pandemic, companies have started leveraging it much more.
Because they realized they could, because because of, it doesn't, you don't have to be physically here in the office. And do you see offshoring of recruitment processes more for staffing companies to augment their search efforts, or for corporations, or is it a combination?
It's a combination. Staffing takes the lead, definitely, and then you got the MSPs, and then the corporations.
Gotcha.
Nice. So, okay. So technology wise, like over here, we talked about AI real quick. How is it over with offshore AI? Are they jumping on it just like we are, ChatGPT and everything else? I mean, is it going like the big
Same
vibe over there
trend?
too?
Well, you see, most of the folks, a lot of folks working in AI in the States are again Indians and Asians, and then now all the more, there's been no surprises there,
Right.
and then we've seen a brain drain as well, of a lot of folks migrating back. This is India's decade, as we are calling it here. So there's a lot of development happening in India, for AI platforms. A lot of solutions coming in for local folks like myself, and this is one of the largest countries in terms of the population. So the opportunities here are humongous. So AI wave is massive in India, as much as it's in the States.
What are you seeing as far as, there's all the discussion now? You got some people that are like diving in head first to ChatGPT. There are other people that are saying, I'm going to dip my toe in the water, but this has some potentially dangerous implications. I think we're going to find that the sweet spot's somewhere in between, and there's a lot we still don't know.
Totally, yeah. It's a sensitive area. Totally. In fact, I had a guest on my Recruitment Curry podcast last week, Ben, and then we had a similar discussion. So there's a massive gray area right now. A lot of people, especially in the recruiting world, are still using it for writing job specs, noting down the interviews. From the candidate's perspective, it's interview questions. Very effective as far as recruiting is concerned, candidate prep is concerned, and then anything to do with content. But you got to improvise. That's the thumb rule. You can't copy paste everything AI, because there's going to be a time when everybody's using ChatGPT or Bard, and then you're going to be seeing the same templates floating across the internet. So how do you personalize it? And then that's where you ace it by using it for your video, using it for your customized content, and then so I use it personally, but then customization is something that you gotta focus on.
That's a
It's
great
amazing what
point.
you said there, because like OpenAI, I use OpenAI all the time now. I mean, it's almost like when you put stuff out on LinkedIn anywhere now, you could be like a genius because you put the emojis in, it tells you the hashtags. I mean, seriously, I'm not even hashtagging staffing anymore. They're like, don't use that. I'm like, oh my God, AI's, they got you going like motivation and different words I've never thought of. So it's addicting. I'm not gonna lie. It's almost like I'm playing Atari again. I'm like typing stuff in, and it's like one after another. And then you want to save them, like you said, like a template, And I'm like, I'm gonna think to myself, in a year from now, we're all gonna have the same template, right?
Yeah, and it's a great tool, if you use it as a guideline. That okay, fine, give me 5 tips on a certain theme, and then you want to customize it, as per your requirement. You don't want to just replicate it, because there's going to be with AI, it's like garbage in, garbage out. It depends on the kind of questions you ask, number one. And then number two is, how you improvise, what you get from the output perspective. Because if you're going to ask, literally crappy questions, it's going to come up with everything that's around on the internet, related to that content. And you don't want that.
Right.
100%. And the scary part is when you put, like, I put in Staffy Shark on Bard on Google, it comes down with everything. High energy. I'm like, oh my God, it's like just reading a paragraph about me. It's like, it's scary, Johnny. You know that.
Fascinating.
Man. You know what? It's become such, again, it's artificial intelligence. This is the intelligence that has been missing from the AI for years. Because really, AI up to this point, there's different types of knowledge-based systems that they called AI. It wasn't really AI. Now all of a sudden we're getting, okay, this is a little bit more when you can say, I want to write a book about this, and it will spit out a book. I mean, that's pretty scary. And again, moving forward, now all of a sudden you're going to have to say, all right, well, what are the copyright laws that are going to get impacted here? And how do we protect people who have content out there? And now all of a sudden someone else is going to do something like that and say, oh, I'm going to release this article. Well, did you write that article? What's your sources? Is your source ChatGPT? Because if so, there's a whole bunch of other sources that need to be mentioned there also. So there's a lot of legalities with this. So to your point, Ketan, the using it's just like doing your own research. When you do your own research, you can't plagiarize. You've got to use it and then customize it to what you want to deliver. People need to treat ChatGPT the same way. The only difference is it's doing the research for you and then delivering the results.
I mean, I got an analogy for this. What you don't want to happen is, you don't want to be forgetting the phone numbers. After the cell phones, we no longer remember phone numbers, from the earlier days. So what this is going to do is, you don't want to stop thinking. Thinking it's a creative process. So if you're going to outsource everything to AI to do for you, you're literally stopping yourself from, sort of your growth hormones, in terms of what are you going to think, how are you going to think, it's a process. And you don't want to stop that. So every time you want to write something, you can ask for the top topics, some guidelines, but you still want to sit down and then write the content for yourself.
100%. And you know what you call that? Actual intelligence. There's the other AI.
I like it.
Absolutely.
There you go.
I like it. Yeah, actual intelligence. Totally.
And don't be stealing that off me now.
Rich is going to quickly trademark that.
I'm actually going to GoDaddy right now and get it.
That's it.
but there are tools now, that will be available, or they already are, to check if the content is AI written.
Wow.
Absolutely.
You know what's scary? This is so, like, even John's a songwriter at times. You can write a song on ChatGPT pretty much now, right, John?
Scary. And that, to me, again, this is important because you're taking, if you did something that, write a song about this. Well, where's the creativity in that? And there's no, there's the big thing about songwriting is, at least for me, is you write from the heart. So you write what you feel. Well, that's not writing what you feel. There's no creativity involved in that at all. Same with, if for the authors out there, for the screenwriters. I mean, there's a big strike on screenwriters in Hollywood, and I get it, because it's like they put so much emotion and passion and thought and creativity. You can't just replace that. It's not gonna, in my opinion, it may look like, oh, I can do this with ChatGPT. Yeah, but not really. It's going to be different, and there's going to be something that's missing because it's not going to be personal. So therein lies the difference.
And that's where the originality, comes into picture. And again, I've been talking to people that, you got a lot of, online content, which is more like blogs, or, you write articles and stuff. But why, is video working now? Because, it shows your personality. And you can't, you can have a teleprompter, reading through, but you can figure out if somebody's reading or, really having a conversation, unless they wasted it for hours, using the prompter to have a discussion, and it rarely works in real life, and that's why more video-based content is going to be more prevalent, because it is you talking, unless it's a deep fake.
Right.
And that's why our show is going to be number one all the time, because we're always live, right, Johnny?
That's
we don't
right.
script anything.
What you get is what you see.
You cannot put a ChatGPT on Recruiters with No Limits. Never.
It's funny though,
Same here.
you can have like, I think back to the days, I'm dating myself, but you said Atari, Richard, so I can throw this out there. Max Headroom, when if you
Love it.
look up Max Headroom, for those of you who are younger in the audience and don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's manufactured, computer automated person. So what, am I going to go to a TED Talk now and, see a TED Talk with nobody standing on stage and just, Chat GPT being read from someone's TED Talk? It's like, that's not going to get people to connect. So I think that human connection, we're humans. We need that connection still. It is innate. It's within us. So, somehow we'll use it to augment what we do and to complement it. But again, it's not going to replace a lot of the relationship driven elements and the creativity that takes things from good to great.
Totally, and which is where the soft skills, the art of waiting, comes into picture as well. And then a lot of things in life, which are really nice and good. You got to wait for them. They're not instant like fast food that you just got to deliver. And that's why curry really works. You got to spend time cooking a nice meal, a nice curry.
Keyword, C word. If we know anything about today's podcast, it's about the C word, right?
That's right. Oh, that's funny.
Candidates, clients, and curry, right?
Curry.
I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh! But you're so right. But we're in a society, and I'm sure it's this way globally, where we become an age of instant gratification. Everything is at your fingertips, and if it doesn't happen right now, it takes too long. So AI is another thing that falls into that. Oh, I want this. Well, let me go there. Think about when Google first hit the scene. Google's become part of our vocabulary. It's a word. Oh, Google it. That became, you want some information? Oh, let me type it up. How many times I know if I'm, watching something on TV, a Netflix series, and it's a documentary, for example, and I wonder what that person's doing right now. Well, I just pick up my phone and I type in their name to Google, and that's what they're doing right now. Our culture has become so immediate that we've lost the patience to work for things sometimes.
100%. Everybody's like Hollywood now. Everybody's on the big screen.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then
which again,
on a positive note, it has a really nice impact. If you want to sort of communicate, if you want to sort of translate your emotions, even to a loved one or a team member as well. A quick note.
Yes.
But when it comes to the instant gratification, we've lost the art of being patient, and then which is where you see frustrations, agitations. If I remember, I come from the call center era, and I used to work for one of the leading PC manufacturers. So we used to have calls in queue. I'm talking 2005, which lasted 30, 45 minutes, probably an hour. We used to have frustrated customers, but then they had no option but to wait to get the solution.
Right.
And then
that's
now,
true.
You imagine that.
Yeah, now when you have situations like that, usually there's an option. Oh, you can wait for 2.5 minutes, or we'll call you back. And you can select the callback if you don't want to wait online. No, you're absolutely right. Back in the day, it was nothing to wait online 15, 20 minutes to get a customer service agent. And that wasn't, you were like, okay, that's just what it is. So you put it on the speakerphone, you went about your work, and when someone picked up, you addressed the call. It's interesting how we evolved. That today would be considered unsatisfactory customer service.
But we both have to agree on, do we want to have AI when we were in high school? Never. No way. Or anything like that. No phones. I'm kind of glad my youth was with just my friends. No AI. That would be kind of scary, Johnny. Have a cell phone when we were like high school? No.
There are things that are good about it, and there are things that are bad about it.
It's happening when I'm older.
To Ketan's point earlier, what you put into it, you get out of it. So if you're going to use it for bad intentions, it's going to create bad things. If you're going to use it for good intentions, it has the potential to be very beneficial. So yeah, I don't disagree with you, Richard. There's a lot of pro of not having any of my high school and college years on a phone video somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean,
dirty laundry. That's another episode.
At the end of the day, your timeline is your prompt.
Right.
Every social media platform that you use, or including LinkedIn or whatever, whatever you see on there, is responding to the prompt.
Correct.
That you gave, until last minute.
Correct.
Okay, so now you ready for the question? I got to ask you. The recruitment curry guy, me being a marketing person that I am, dude, I love this name. John's going to say this over and over again. So tell me how you came up with this. I know there's a good story. Please tell me there's a good story. You didn't like type in ChatGPT and get it. No.
Well, this came before ChatGPT, so I can claim that.
All right, good.
Well, I love curry. I'm a foodie, and then my first love is food, and obviously recruiting has been an accident. But then I was looking to start my podcast last year. I wanted something which had a nice zing to it. Nothing that is like too professional or too boring. And then I wanted to stand apart. So I said, okay, fine. Curry gets the personality out of me because I can talk for curry for hours. And then so is about recruiting. Went really well. Thought about it, got the domain, and then it was quick.
And it fits. It suits you. It has, because it's good for a number of reasons. When you talk about looking for something zing, there's the zing in information. There's the zing in curry if you make it right. I mean, it has a dual implication. It's wonderful.
And I love flavors. So one of my mentors, he talks about flavors. We were talking earlier today about recruiting businesses, outsourcing businesses. Majority of them, almost all of them, they do similar work. But then what differs from company to company is the flavor. And that flavor is about 5%. And then he loves ice creams, and then he's like, you have vanilla ice cream from shop 1 and shop 2. What differs is sort of some flavors,
That's true.
from shop to shop, and then that's what you want to care about, and then present your facts to your target market.
One other area that I know you're passionate about is the L&D world, the learning and development.
Yes.
What are some things that you're doing to make sure that your staff continues to evolve and stay on top of things?
So my business is circa 2.5, 3 years old now, and one thing we've been stressing about is on my team here we have managers, but then we don't call them managers or team leaders. It starts with the title. They are enablers. They have to make sure that they enable the teams to deliver whatever is required with adequate support. So we have weekly roundups in terms of what kind of training and support do they need, and then we always talk on themes. So and then these themes are you don't specifically need a training session which is in-house. You pick on smaller themes that okay, fine, how can I be better at being a better recruiter. There are sessions on time management. There are sessions on scrum meetings in the morning, meetings in the morning. And then now, we are doing a TNI, training need identification process, where we have a second layer of team, which is the successors, and then they are being the champions to drive the entire effort of training and development. We include our clients as well. So when we go on to our calls with the clients, and then this again, sort of beds in well with the first point of working with global talent. It's not just our responsibility. It's also our responsibility to tell the clients that what sort of upskilling the team here needs, to deliver better services. So it ranges from themes which is corporate, which is going to help their jobs, and how they can sort of deliver better in the next 12 months. One advice that we have for everybody across the board is think about yourself from the future self perspective. That what do you want to be 12 months down the line, and then let's work on the plans accordingly, rather than just doing one training which fits for all. It rarely works.
That's awesome.
Okay,
but it all starts with the attention.
Sure, absolutely. And it also, with that, I like to think about where you want to be in 12 months, because we all know, we've seen it in staffing, things change rapidly. Now, again, the fundamentals don't change, but how we execute those fundamentals, you've got to adapt. So what got you here, chances are it won't get you there in 12 months. And I think that's great to stay on top of things and continue to develop those people so that they can serve their organizations effectively.
Totally. And every job is an assignment. We want team members to stay with us for as long as possible. But obviously we live in a fluid world. Situations change, people change, requirements change, and so take the job as your assignment, as your project. Do well here, giving you 100%. So you're just paving your way to your next role, wherever it is, out here or in some other business.
100%. All right, brother. So you ready for the final question for me? Is the industry, the rest of 2023? Give me a little forecast, man. Predictions. What do you think the rest of the year is going to entail for us?
Yeah, we're halfway through already. Jeez.
Yeah. What's going to happen?
I mean, yes, we're halfway through. Thankfully, from offshoring perspective, we are still seeing demand because companies want to make sure that they sustain if they're not thriving through challenging times. A lot of our clients work in the healthcare space, so that's a recession-proof sector. And we still got business coming through healthcare. Tech obviously has slowed down, but we still got accounting, finance doing good. So there's still growth in those sectors. I'm talking about the UK specifically, as I speak. But healthcare is one sector that has been stable.
There it is.
Yeah, we're seeing much the same over here. That's the same trend in healthcare. That we were just I'm in Dallas this week doing some meetings with the folks in the field, and there's no end in sight for the shortage of healthcare professionals that's out there. So there's going to be a need for those who can effectively deliver for what is needed within healthcare for quite some time.
Yeah. And then I think it's a global thing, healthcare, it's a sector which is, candidate short, and then, people need treatment throughout the year. So
yes.
You're going to have the demand, across. So, yeah.
I agree.
We just need people to work. People, if you want to work, we got jobs for you.
That's right.
Call us up.
Absolutely.
We'll keep you busy. Hey, Johnny, any final thoughts?
This has been great. Thanks again, Ketan, for taking time out and for joining us. A couple of things I'll take away. I love, with all the AI and the Chat GPT that is out there, and it's all the trend. Don't stop thinking. And yes, use it to complement, but personalize it and customize it to yourself and your message. So I thought that was a big home run there. I also liked just recently when you said, think about what you want yourself to look like 12 months from now and work backwards. And finally, I will take away that Ketan's going to send me some recipes because curry does not have to be spicy. And I'm very happy about that.
You got
There
it.
it is.
You got it.
All right, my man, you ready for mine? You ready for this?
For it.
What is your favorite curry dish? You got to tell everybody out there in the world. What is it?
Well, I cook this dish, which is paneer makhani, which is cottage cheese, and then a creamy saffron gravy, really nice. And then that's a recipe I'll share with you, John. Takes 20 minutes.
Please do. I'll be a hero because my wife loves Indian food. So if I can come out, if she can, come in, I say, hey, I'm making you a curry dish. I'll get major points.
20 minutes, I bet.
He has to post this, John. You have to post this on LinkedIn, man. You'll probably get 1 million views after cooking. Oh, man. Well, hey, brother. Hey, thank you for coming on the show. Like I said, man, me and John appreciate it, man. You're welcome anytime, brother. I'll definitely check out your podcast, man. I got to check it out. Give you some thumbs up for that. Real quick, where can everybody find you at? Real quick so they know where you're at, man.
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm very much posting on LinkedIn every day. So yeah, very active.
That's awesome. And we're just, hey John, we
success,
connected today. We're friends just today,
Sorry?
man.
Yeah, I follow your timeline on Twitter. I've seen, I know, obviously you work out, and I've seen your pics. Obviously, in snow with that. We got the jobs. Give us a call if you're looking for jobs.
Always having fun. Well, hey, thanks again. Hey, Johnny, that's a wrap for this week, buddy. We'll see you next week on another great international show. Take care, guys.
Thanks.
Take care. Thank you.
Cheers. Okay.